Have you ever felt like the world is just too complicated? Like you're carrying a heavy backpack full of past mistakes, other people's expectations, and a constant fear of what people think of you? Do you feel you are unhappy because of all of this? Most of us believe that happiness is something we have to chase, something that only happens once we reach the top of the mountain. But what if I told you that almost everything you believe about happiness is wrong? What if your past doesn't matter and being disliked is actually the key to your freedom? Today, we are going beyond the pages of a book that has sold millions of copies and changed lives across the globe. The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. It's a deep dive into Adlerian psychology, hard-hitting, controversial, counterintuitive. It is a conversation between a frustrated young man, the youth, and a wise philosopher. It's a journey that challenges everything you've been told about trauma, relationships, and what it actually means to be free. What if I told you your anxiety, your lack of confidence, even your unhappiness, is something you're choosing? I know that sounds wrong, maybe even offensive, but stay with me for some time and you will understand why. Happiness is a choice that you can make. Right here, right now. The philosopher lays out 3 central claims. The world is simple, people can change, and everyone can be happy. Claims the youth initially disputes. By the end of this video, you'll either disagree strongly, or you'll see your life in a completely new way. So, let's find out together. Etiology versus teleology. Most of us live our lives based on etiology. That's a fancy word for looking at causes. But Alfred Adler, the psychologist behind this book, suggests something radical: teleology. This looks at the purpose of your behavior, not the cause. Etiology focuses on how the past affects the present. This is the approach adopted by Freudian psychology that focuses on how past experiences, traumas, or psychic wounds impact our current thinking and behaviors. By contrast, teleology in Adlerian psychology ignores the past. It focuses on how our actions are driven by our current goals and motivations for the future. If you're struggling with something, it's not about asking, "Why did this happen to me? What caused this? Or what did I do to deserve this?" Rather, it's more helpful to ask, "What is the purpose of this event? What did it teach me? What is my goal now that it has happened to recover and move forward?" Night 1. Deny the trauma. The philosopher makes the most controversial claim on the first night. Trauma does not exist. Let that sink in. Feels totally wrong and illogical, right? Because these days we hear this word trauma everywhere. On social media, in our surroundings. The philosopher argues that what people call past trauma does not determine present behavior. This does not mean that bad things do not happen in people's lives. But any experience in itself is not a cause of success or failure. We are not determined by our experiences, but by the meaning we give to them. People often use past experiences as excuses to avoid taking responsibility for current choices and to justify continuing unhappy patterns. Your past does not determine your present or future. Rather, you are the architect of your own life through choices you make in the present. If you want to be happy, you have to stop looking in the rearview mirror. Your life is decided here and now. Emotions are tools. We do not lose our temper and then shout. Instead, we fabricate anger so that we can shout to make another person submit to us. Let's look at an example. A mother who is screaming at her daughter suddenly becomes polite when the phone rings and it is her daughter's teacher. She talks politely to the teacher. Once she hangs up, she immediately resumes screaming. This proves anger is a tool she can pull out or put away as needed. The philosopher asserts that people often choose to be unhappy. You don't change, because change is scary. Your current life, even if frustrating, is predictable, familiar, safe. But growth? It's uncertain, uncomfortable, risky. Your brain chooses familiar over the unknown. But you can also change. Your unhappiness cannot be blamed on your past or your environment. You don't lack the ability or the competence. It's the lack of courage. Because being happy requires taking risks, facing rejection, letting go of excuses, and the hardest one, being comfortable with not being liked. Adlerian thought suggests that we choose our lifestyle around age 10, often unconsciously, influenced by our environment. However, because it was a choice, it can be reselected at any time. Night 2. All problems are interpersonal relationship problems. The philosopher says that nearly all life problems arise from interpersonal relationships. Family, work, and community. Adlerian thinking locates the source of most suffering is in how we relate to others. Sounds counterintuitive. But imagine if you were the only person in the entire universe. Problems wouldn't exist. All problems regarding income, appearance, and flaws would vanish because there would be no one left to compare with. There'd be no feeling of inferiority because no one would be better than you. The philosopher introduces the idea of life tasks, work, friendship, love, and says psychological health is the ability to face these tasks without being controlled by others' expectations. The pursuit of superiority. This is a universal human desire to improve or reach an ideal state. The philosopher warns that a feeling of inferiority is different from an inferiority complex. Healthy feelings of inferiority act as a launchpad for growth when one compares their current self to their ideal self. An inferiority complex is when one uses a feeling of inferiority as an excuse to stop trying. This manifests as the logic, X is the situation, so Y cannot be done. These are apparent cause and effect stories, fabricated narratives used to avoid the hard work and courage required to change one's lifestyle. Superiority complexes are the other side of the same coin. Those who feel intensely inferior may boast about their past glory or give themselves authority by wearing expensive brands or linking themselves to powerful people to fabricate a feeling of superiority. Relationship problems often escalate into power struggles. When someone insults or provokes you, their goal is often to make you submit. Anger is a tool manufactured to achieve this submission. If you win a power struggle, the relationship moves to the revenge stage, where the defeated party seeks retaliation in a different form. The solution is to step down from the conflict immediately. Life is not a competition. I know this is exactly opposite of what we have been taught. One of the most destructive mindsets is viewing interpersonal relationships as a competition. If you are continuously looking at others as either winners or losers, everyone becomes an enemy who is either blocking your climb or threatening your position. But when you abandon competition, you no longer feel defeated by another person's success and become able to celebrate their happiness. Camaraderie over competition. We are not moving to compete with others, but to become a better version of who we are now. Night 3. The separation of tasks. Most of our stress comes from people-pleasing. We want our boss to like us, our parents to be proud, and our friends to agree with us. Every problem in relationships comes from either you intruding on someone else's task or someone else intruding on yours. So, how do we stop worrying about what everyone thinks? This is the aha moment of the book. The answer is the separation of tasks. In any situation, you have to ask, whose task is this? The owner of the task is determined by a simple question. Who ultimately is going to receive the result brought about by the choice that is made? You should focus only on your tasks. You have zero control over how people feel about you. How others feel about you is their task. Separating tasks does not mean total neglect. It means providing assistance without forcing change. One should be ready to lend a hand when requested but must not encroach on another's territory. Leading the horse to water proverb is used to illustrate the boundary. One can lead a horse to water, provide opportunities or assistance, but one cannot make him drink, force the person to change. The Gordian knot. In legend, this was a knot so complex no one could untie it. Alexander the Great didn't try to untie it. He just took his sword and cut it. Separation of tasks is that sword. It cuts through the mess of complicated relationships, rather than trying to untangle them through conventional, expectation-based methods. The most provocative conclusion of task separation is that freedom is being disliked by other people. If you spend your life trying to manage other people's expectations and trying to get everyone to like you, you will be exhausted and miserable. Do not change your identity to be liked by others. If someone dislikes you, it's proof that you are living your life according to your own principles. It is the price we pay for freedom. People often try to prove their worth by seeking recognition and validation from others. By task separation, you realize that you hold all the cards to interpersonal relationships. Stop worrying about what others think and start living your life. The courage to be happy fundamentally includes the courage to be disliked. Night 4. You are not the center of the world. In the fourth night of the dialogue, the philosopher explores the ultimate goal of interpersonal relationships. Community feeling. While you are the protagonist of your life, you are not the center of the world. Many of us are obsessed with being special. We want to be the best, the smartest, or the most successful. And if we can't be the best, we sometimes try to be the worst to get attention through our suffering. The book challenges us to have the courage to be normal. Being normal doesn't mean being boring. You find your worth not by being special or the best, but by being useful to the community. Adler's definition of community is infinite, including not just family and society, but the entire universe, including plants, animals, and even the past and future. The goal of relationships is to gain a sense of belonging, and you can only achieve this by contributing actively to your community. When a person faces trouble in a small community, like a school or workplace, we must listen to the voice of the larger community. True worth is found on the level of being. You have worth simply because you are alive and exist. To achieve this, it requires a shift from vertical relationships to horizontal relationships. Most of us live in vertical relationships, where we see life as a ladder. We rank everyone as being above or below us, which turns the world into a battlefield of enemies. The tendency to climb higher, even if it means kicking others down and pushing people out of the way to be at top. This is why Adler is so against both praise and rebuke. When you praise someone, saying good job, you are actually looking down on them. You are passing judgment from a position of power. Adler suggests we move to horizontal relationships. We are on the same level playing field. There are people who are moving forward, and there are people who are moving forward behind them. Though the distance covered and the speed of walking differ, everyone is walking equally in the same flat plane. We are all equal, just not the same. Instead of praising, one should use encouragement based on gratitude. By saying thank you or that was a big help, you convey that the person has made a contribution. In a horizontal relationship, there is no distinction of rank, and thus no room for inferiority or superiority complexes. Night 5. Life is a dance, not a mountain to climb. The fifth and final night of the dialogue focuses on practical living. Living for the future or dwelling on the past is a lifeline used to avoid the intensity of the present moment. Most people treat life like a mountain climb. They think, I'll be happy once I reach the top. But if you don't reach the top or if you get hurt along the way, does that mean your whole trip was a failure? No. Life is like dancing. When you dance, the goal isn't to get to a specific spot on the floor. Every movement, every step of dancing in itself is the goal. Life is not a straight line but a series of independent dots called moments. You don't need a grand plan or a massive legacy to be happy. You just need to shine a bright spotlight on the here and now, because every moment is its own completed. A life lived earnestly in the now is always complete, whether it ends at age 20 or 90. The courage to be disliked tells us that the world is simple, and life is simple. It's only we who make it complicated. Happiness is a choice, but it's a choice that requires courage. The courage to let go of the past, the courage to stop seeking approval, and most importantly, the courage to be yourself even if people don't like it. Your life is not something that happened to you. It's something you're creating right now, and the moment you accept that, everything changes. So the real question is, are you ready to choose happiness? And most importantly, do you have the courage to be disliked? Alright, that was a lot of deep philosophy. Let's make it practical. Here are 5 things you can do today to start living with more courage. Discard the life lie. Stop saying, I can't do X because of Y. Be honest with yourself. What is the goal of your current behavior? Are you using your past to avoid a challenge in the present? Separate your tasks. The next time you feel stressed about a relationship, ask, whose task is this? If it's someone else's reaction or opinion, let it go. It's not your burden to carry. Quit the recognition game. Stop looking for likes and praise. Instead, ask yourself, how am I being useful right now? Happiness comes from the feeling of contribution, not the receipt of approval. Build horizontal connections. Practice equality. Treat your boss and the person serving you coffee with the same level of human respect. Replace, you did a good job, with, I appreciate your help. Live in the here and now. Stop waiting for the future to be happy. Shine a bright spotlight on the present moment. If you are washing the dishes, just wash the dishes. If you are talking to a friend, just be there. If you found this helpful, pick one of those 5 action items and try it today. Then, come back and leave a comment telling me how it felt to separate your tasks. Thank you for watching. Like, share and subscribe.